Hi friends, I hope you're doing well. Welcome to our new video. You might be thinking, why are we speaking in English? And well, the reason is because we were asked to do some videos like this because some English native speakers watched our videos and we wanted to help them understand better. So now, we hope you like it and let's begin with the European type call option for the Stochastic Processes class. We are María García, Bertha Lozano, Marisol Romo, and Daniela Schaar. Before we start, it is important to remember these concepts. What is an option contract? An option contract is an agreement between two parties that helps a transaction on the underlying security in the future by setting the price today. This is called the strike price. These contracts have two parts, a buyer and a seller. The buyer will need to pay a premium in order to get the rights that the contract grants. There are two types of contracts, calls and puts. So now, what is a call option? Well, we define a call option as a security that gives an investor the right but not the obligation to buy a security at a given price and a given date. And now, what is a put option? A put option is a security that gives an investor the right, but not the obligation to sell a security at a given price and a given date.
Now we're going to see what are the American and European contracts. There are two types of options. The European options that can only be delivered at the expiration, and American options where the holder has the right to ask for the delivery anytime between the execution and the expiration date. Nonetheless, American calls are the same as European calls, since calls are never to be delivered before expiration, only sold, because of the time value. Now that we understand this, we can price a European call option under the risk neutrality assumption. To do this, we'll use the binomial methodology to find the fair price of the financial instrument. The payoff function of the European type call option is the maximum between the stock price at time t minus the strike price and 0.
How does the binomial method work? A very popular technique for pricing an option is the binomial method. This method involves constructing a binomial tree. As we saw in our probability course, this is a diagram that represents different possible paths. In this case, the paths represent the stock price over the life of an option. It is very important to say that we are assuming the stock price follows a random walk. In each step, it has a certain probability of moving up by a certain percentage amount and a certain probability of moving down. Here's a fun fact. As the time step becomes smaller, this model is the same as the Black-Scholes model. Up is defined by this formula, and down with this one. Now it is time to go to Excel.
In order to find the fair price, we'll compute an algorithm. First, the user defines on the sheet the stock price at 0, this is S, the strike price, that's E, the time horizon, that's T, the risk-free rate, R, the volatility, sigma, and the number of intervals, M. The probability of an increment in the stock price is 1/2. Then, we proceed to define the variables of the algorithm. The first thing we do is take all the variables we define in the Excel sheet and put it in the algorithm. The first variable we define here is the delta t as the time horizon divided by the number of intervals. The up and down step size will be defined as here. Our first cycle will create a vector containing the maximum between 0 and the stock price, considering the up and down movements, subtracting the strike price and comparing it to 0 when this number is negative. Finally, to get the fair price, we use an auxiliary variable and another cycle in which we multiply the probability of decreasing by the first I entries of the vector that contains the maximum obtained in the previous cycle, and add it to the probability of an increment times the same vector, but from entering 1 to I plus 1. By repeating this m times, the return value will be the one saved in this vector. So, the fair price of this European call will be in the Excel sheet. The fair price is 12,352.9293. Remember that the evaluator can change this data in order to get the fair price for different European codes.
In conclusion, as we can see, the binomial method is a very useful tool for pricing options. However, for European options in which the holder doesn't have the right to ask for delivery prior to the expiration date, it may be faster to use the Black-Scholes formula. On the other hand, this method is great for American-type options. This method also shows how useful stochastic processes are in real life. Well, thank you for watching and don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Thank you for your presence, your attention, and mostly your patience.